Either follows. A new video, a new idea. As for what we have in mind, well, you might recall we built an engine with Teflon-coated pistons, and the results of that experiment were fantastic. But then another idea occurred to us. Why not try encroaching on that which is the key component in engine operation? I'm referring to motor oil. Since the frying pan Teflon coating did so well last time, I suggest we take this crankshaft, these bearings, remove the babbitt, coat everything with Teflon, and attempt to run this engine with no motor oil. Well, let's get to it. Since we want to apply Teflon coating to the bearings and the crank, well, the crank is easy, but the bearings, not so much. The bearings are covered with babbitt metal, right? It melts at around 400 degrees Celsius, and prior to applying the Teflon, parts have to be heated up to 470 degrees. The babbitt will simply melt at that temperature. And so either we have to melt it off somehow, or I don't even know. I am trying to melt the coating, then I'm doing measurements. We do need to get the clearances right. I've tried several ways of removing the babbitt, and so far the simplest and most effective method is heating it up with a torch, and then scraping it off. Otherwise a thin babbitt film remains, but the torch and the brush are working. Also I checked and the bearing doesn't seem to be getting warped. Apparently. Just like the pistons last time, the crankshaft and the bearings were heated up in this oven, then they were sandblasted prior to applying the coating, and now we will proceed to coat these with Teflon. There it is, guys, and we are looking good. The crank is fully covered in Teflon. They covered the whole thing, but that's not an issue. The important thing is the journals are coated. And the bearings as well, obviously. You'll see that they're also coated with Teflon. The mains and the ones that go with the rods. And we haven't even gotten to the interesting part yet. Now it's a matter of assembling everything, measuring the clearances to make sure nothing is getting pinched or that there's not too much play. But now let's assemble the engine and test it, of course. Let's go. To make sure we worked out the correct clearances, we'll be checking them using this plastic gauge. So this is what we're using to measure the gaps between the bearings and the crank journals. Cut a small piece of the material, carefully place it onto the crank journal, tighten the cap to spec, remove it, work out the breadth of the material using the template, and check the clearance. So we compared the indentation on the material with the template. The clearance is at 0.051, which I think is fine for a Lada motor. Okay guys, the engine is now assembled, everything is looking good. Now we are going to try starting it. Let her rip. Nothing is knocking, that's a good thing. Though one of the valves is loose, I can hear. It is rattling around, but no big deal. The important thing is that the engine is running, and it's running pretty well. Now at the moment there is oil inside the engine, which I failed to mention. But we did put oil into the engine, so these are normal operating conditions. But let's drive around with the lubrication system working as it should, to check how the Teflon coating works. Alright, well, we just need to do one single lap, but we'll be hitting the gas hard while we're out. Let's go. Engine with oil. Even though this does have oil in it, I really want to know if it'll survive. At least it's running, so that's all good. So far. And I don't hear it making any weird noises. So we're good on that as well. The engine is just working as it should. Which is good. But we'd better drive around. I think we'd better give it some beans. It accelerates well. I mean, it accelerates just like a lot engine should. I have nothing bad to say in that regard. Of course, this didn't add any extra power or remove any noises. Nothing like that. So if you don't know, you wouldn't be able to guess. Because absolutely nothing has changed in how the engine runs. 30 minutes later. So look guys, with the motor oil, the engine works exactly as you'd expect. Which is good. Now if I can reiterate, we removed the factory Babbitt coating that used to be on the bearings, then we applied that non-stick Teflon coating to the crankshaft and the bearings, and it's supposed to be very slippery. And with oil inside the engine, everything works beautifully. No weird noises. The engine just runs as if it weren't even tampered with. But now the interesting part. Let's drain the oil, remove the oil pan, and see how effective this non-stick coating proves to be when there's no motor oil. Okay, so let's remove everything and go nuts. Let's go. Check this out, guys. We've removed the oil pan. There is no oil in the engine. There is a bit dripping off of the pickup. But small drops are not going to make any meaningful difference. So bring the car down and drive around with no oil. Okay, we're looking good. There is no oil in the engine. Let's see how it runs. It is working. That's a good start. Now obviously it can run for a while at idle. We have done such experiments in the past. It usually doesn't take long for an engine to seize or develop a knock. Usually it's a knock. But I really hope the coating works. But the car is driving. I have almost done a full lap. And everything is fine. Right. It has cooled off a bit. We were attempting to start it. Is it going to keep driving? It is having a hard time running, because not all of the rubbing parts are lubricated. The parts that are covered in Teflon have a higher chance of surviving, but as for everything else that isn't, well, it's anybody's guess. But I mean... Come on now. It's not even pulling in first anymore. Has it seized, really? Yeah, it's having a hard time. Yeah, you can feel that the engine is struggling. It is still running, though. I only drove 20 meters and I'm stranded again. It's squealing, but it won't start. Okay, guys, we've torn the engine apart, and here's what we're looking at. Let's just say this didn't quite go as well as we'd hoped. But then on the other hand, the engine was running with no oil for quite a long time. It was hanging in there. It wasn't even a kilometer, it actually drove for about 5. So even if the oil evacuates, it will still be able to continue driving. But look here. Due to the extreme heat, the coating has been almost fully scraped off from the bearings. The rod bearings... Well, I mean, there is a bit left, but just a tiny bit. 1, 2, and 3, you have some semblance of coating, while the number 4, yeah, you'll notice that the journal was overheated. The oil was burned off from it. Now, honestly, I thought there would be issues with the cam, and there definitely are. You will see that there's a lot of wear on the lobes. I mean, they were a bit worn as it is, but the damage is very apparent. However, on the journals that rub against the cylinder head, let's just say things aren't quite as bad as you'd expect. As for the cylinder head side of things, yeah, there is evidence of scraping. The crankshaft is black and, yeah, it looks as if it's missing in some spots. Though in others it appears to have stayed on. But that's the experiment, guys. It looks like this works better on frying pans, but even in this case, it did buy the engine some extra time. And quite a lot of it, too. At the end of the day, the coating works, which is very good indeed. Not just on frying pans. You guys can be the judges, you saw it all for yourselves. That's it for this video, catch you guys later.